intros, but of course we were digging deep into the curriculum, and I was engrossed into that, no doubt. You are most welcome.
Thank you.
Let's go straight into the gist of the new A-level curriculum and what it entails. What is the foundation of this latest thrust coming from the education sector?
Thank you so much, and good morning, viewers. Yes, we are proposing, we are still at the proposal level. We are proposing to review the A-level curriculum following the rollout of the new lower secondary curriculum way back in 2020. During that time, we introduced a new curriculum which is competence-based at O-level. We introduced a number of things. Learners are supposed to do projects to emphasize practical learning in every subject. We introduced a school-based assessment which contributes 20% to the end of cycle assessment, and a number of other things. Now, in this year, 2023, the learners, the first cohort is in senior 3, and they are going to sit their DIT examinations this year, and they will be transiting to sit for UCE examinations with UNEB next year in 2024, implying that in 2025 these learners will be advancing to A-level, advanced level in 2025. But of course, we wouldn't wish to have these learners going through the old curriculum, which is now existing. The new curriculum we are proposing is competence-based, and the one that is running currently is knowledge-based. It's emphasizing on how much the learner knows. But what we are proposing is focusing mainly on how the learner or the learner's ability to use the knowledge he knows to do something. So the world today is mainly in need of people who are able to do things, not just in need of people who know things.
Who know things.
So that is the difference.
Wow.
We want now we are now engaging our key stakeholders, the public. Recently, we met the vice chancellors from universities. We met the academic registrars. We met the principals of colleges and institutions to give us their input into what we are proposing, and also to share knowledge, because curriculum development is highly consultative. You cannot do it alone. You must do it with all the stakeholders so that they have an input into what you're proposing. Yes.
Okay, seems like there's a lot of work that is going on behind the scenes, and of course it's commendable, especially when you talk about the need to be able to start churning out people who are competent and not only knowledgeable. It seems to be one of the contradictions that the country suffers with. But when you speak about the cohort of learners who are going to transition into the new curriculum, does that cover all students right now who are in secondary, or it is being piloted in particular areas?
Yes, this year, the first cohort of the learners, as I said, is in senior 3.
Is in senior 3.
But the learners of the old curriculum at O-level are now the candidates in senior 4.
Okay, in other words, the old curriculum for O-level is phasing out with this sitting.
With this sitting.
Okay.
And of course, I would appeal to all the learners who are candidates this year to make sure that they pass, because there is no room for coming back next year.
Okay.
Since there will be a completely new curriculum. Now we are embarking on this review because the A-level curriculum, as a background, was started or introduced in Uganda in 1953. That was a recommendation by the Bunsen's Commission, and then it started operational It was operationalized in 1963, shortly after we got our independence. And you know, by that time, the needs of the country were very different.
From
the
what we have
country
right now.
had very big, many gaps of technical staff, given that many of the colonial masters had already left the country. So there were so many positions by that time, and therefore the country wanted to have people who could fill these positions, and they did that by introducing A-level. And of course, by that time, you remember, the education system was mainly producing people for the white-collar jobs, and were existing. Someone could easily get a job even before completing his studies. And everybody who proceeded to the university by the time was very sure of getting a job. But now, currently, the situation has completely changed. The population has grown, and there is a lot of unemployment in the country. We cannot continue to run the same system of education which trains job seekers
and not entrepreneurs.
So at the moment, we want now to shift to ensure that we impart skills or competencies among the learners who are able, in case they have not been in position to secure a job, they can be able to create their own jobs and also to create jobs for others. But also, in case they have secured a job, they can still be competent in that job and continue to be resourceful elsewhere.
Is this being done in harmony with just about all other aspects of Uganda's education landscape? When you change O-level, as that has already been rolled out, and then plans for A-level are on, there are other sectors, for example, vocational, where a person who has done their O-level can transition to instead of going to A-level before they can perhaps elect to go to university. Does this system also slip into there so that it can change a few things that may not be working well? Yes,
definitely so. What we are changing, we are changing the curriculum.
That's right.
We are not changing the system, or we are not changing other education pathways. To note more is that the O-level curriculum we introduced, we try to vocationalize secondary education in response to the Kajubi report or the Education White Paper of 1992.
That's right.
So that's why we are asking every learner at secondary.
We are working on recommendations that were issued in 1992.
Yeah, of course, since then we've not had another education review. It's just underway now. Until when it is done, that's when we shall have another white paper. Review. So at the moment, we are basing on the recommendations of the 1992.
My apologies for going a little bit more critical on this, especially after you revealing that the recommendations are based on the Kajubi report 1992. By 1992, a lot of the competencies that you may be seeking to there wasn't an understanding of the dynamics then. I'm wondering how visionary that report is in order to cater for the challenges of the day. Couldn't we be, perhaps, in understanding our challenges today, of falling into the trap of using old tactics?
Well, the report itself was very visionary because actually it talked about vocationalization of education in Uganda. And by vocationalization, it meant having practical approaches, hands-on approaches, and for every subject to ensure that you take the learner through how relevant this subject is going to be in the daily life of this learner. And also, as we talk about that report, we conducted a needs assessment study as NCDC, of course, to now fill in the gaps. We realized that before we engage or start on any review of a curriculum, we must of course get in contact with the public, the stakeholders, to find out exactly what would they need to have in our education system. What kind of learner would they want to see after senior 6? And so also to establish the gaps. What are the current loopholes or weaknesses with the current senior 6 curriculum? So we did conduct a needs assessment study in 2021-22. We concluded last year. And it's also giving us additional information on how we are going to base ourselves on the review process.
Okay. We're glad, of course, to have you here from the National Curriculum Development Center. Your appearance comes on the backdrop of reports that A-level could see a whole 5 years as span for one learner or student. What is that all about?
Recently there was a lot of information moving around the media that we are proposing to extend A-level up to 5 years. Actually, someone was very sarcastic that we have introduced S5, S6, S7, S8 up to S9, which is very sarcastic. Okay. But of course, we are not adding any other class on A-level. The classes remain 2, senior 5 and senior 6.
This is proposal level.
That is proposal level. Okay. The classes are senior 5 and senior 6. And the years, we are talking about the minimum years of study of a learner in senior 6 are 2. Okay. At A-level 2, that is senior 5 and senior 6. We expect you to have completed your studies.
In 2 years? In
2 years. But
that means anybody can complete A-level after 4 years.
Yes,
you begin with somebody, and then for you, you complete, and somebody is still in A-level as you are transitioning to?
Yes, as I said, we did a needs analysis study, All right. Our education system at the moment is funnel shaped. You know, there are so many people who begin at primary level, some join O-level, and very few are able to go through the rigors to A-level. It means that so many people are left out. So many people are left.
Okay.
When UNEB released exams, UCE examinations, we were told about 90,000 people, learners had failed. Now, all these are getting out of the system. Now, we are saying that we are providing an alternative. We are providing an opportunity for those other learners who would simply drop out because they have not succeeded to go through the system.
Okay.
To
Mr.
come
John,
back and make
John
good
Okumu Emirate,
yes,
time is not our very best ally. Let's continue this particular aspect of the discussion when we return from the break. Understanding exactly how one learner will take 2 years and another will do 3, 4, or even 5 for A-level. We'll be right back.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Joining us, we are discussing ideas behind the new A-level curriculum, and we have Mr. John Okumu Emirate, the Manager Secondary at the National Curriculum Development Center, in studio to help us understand what that means and how exactly it is being rolled out. Before we went for the break, Mr. Emirate was explaining to us exactly what is going to happen when the 5 years are put into context for A-level, meaning just like it is done at university, for example, where you have a minimum of 3 years for a course, but you can go up to 5. That is if you have a retake or you have chosen a dead year. Let me return to Mr. Emirate to throw more flesh on that. You were telling us.
Yes.
Yes, just continue from where you
left off. The issue of the 5 years, we realized that there are a number of people who could be slow learners, and others could be learners with special education needs. Yes. You know, our education system has not been taking into consideration those categories of learners.
The challenge
It has been
learners,
taking in consideration only those super learners, the fast learners. That's why they have been going through, and the weak ones, the slow ones, those with special needs get out of the system. So we are saying that for these learners with special education needs, and of course you know that we're looking at inclusivity, that we want to bring learners on board. Now, these learners with special education needs, you know, the learning abilities are very different. So in this case, or under the circumstances, these learners can be able to sit for maybe one paper in 1 year in senior 6, or 2 papers. Then they come back, they sit for another paper until when they complete. And then their results are considered and put under one certificate. And then they proceed to do a course of their interest. And also even those other learners who are not necessarily weak, for example, someone might say, I want to do law, me I'm interested in doing law. But of course, law, you know, you must score very highly in every subject.
That's right.
So in case you realize you have not scored according to your expectation in 1 or 2 subjects, you should be free to come back and repeat that subject you have not performed well. And this time we are proposing that you don't repeat everything. Currently, if you want to repeat to make up your points, you have to repeat even the subject you scored an A. But this time we are proposing you should only repeat that subject in which you did not perform to expectation, so that you can proceed and your results are put under one certificate, and then you proceed to do the course of your interest. So those are some of the things we want to bring on board to ensure that people can be encouraged or given an opportunity to go through the system to do those careers of their interests.
That's right.
I know there are so many people who are doing courses, or they are doing careers which were not of their interest, but they were given those careers because of the points that they scored at A level.
All right, very quickly, I'm going to allow to wrap this up by telling us what is the cost of this project when it comes to the resources required.
Well, the cost, we are still making budgets for the cost, because we're at the initial stages of the reform. So we are getting ideas, we are looking at what activities are going to be involved, and of course how much it will cost. So we are at the initial stages of putting up whatever is going to be required for the reform. So at the moment I'm going to be in good position to say this is going to be the cost of this reform.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. John Okumu Emirate, many thanks for the perspective on the ideas behind the new A-level curriculum, and most importantly, allowing us to understand how it is going to roll out. Mr. John Okumu Emirate is the Manager Secondary at the National Curriculum Development Center there. He's been joining us. Now we are signing off today at exactly 8:30 to allow you get up to date on the PDM, that is the parish development model, and exactly how it is being rolled out across the country. Have yourselves a good day and nice work.